Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 126, and today we're going to be jumping into the Gauntlet. And so, again, we are at the beginning of the new season. I just can't for the life of me remember what this set was called, Rise of the Ghosts or something. I don't know, the Evelyn set. But we're here at the beginning, and in our previous video, we tackled going after the Prime Glory. I feel like at the beginning of the season, you're just looking to play, some of the most powerful things that you can do, since everyone's decks are going to be fairly untuned. And so, if you want to play the previous season's best decks, then fine. I'm not really on board with that, but the more powerful things you can do with the current collection of cards is probably your best bet, as opposed to trying to bring some kind of lineup targeting out specific decks. And today we're going to continue on with that trend. We don't have a real strong theme to what we're doing. I'm just out here trying to try some of the new cards, and we'll do that in the best of three format instead of jumping in on the ladder. And so it's a bit of a mishmash of some of the strategies we haven't really covered in dedicated videos yet. The first deck we're going to bring is Fizz, Lulu, Yordles, and Arms. This does have the new addition in the Sneezy Biggle Dust, and so the kind of idea that you're going to have here is with your kind of standard Boom Baboon plus Poro Cannon package, you're already generating a bunch of cards. You used to historically just win with a combination of like Fizz and Poro Cannon, Daring Poros, and that would get you a big elusive attack end to close out the game. Now you have a few additional options with the Sneezy Biggle Dust and taking advantage of those created cards. And so you're going to see things like Salvage Scrap, which we can use to discard Boom Baboon tokens too, whatever you're called. There we go, Flame Chompers. So we can discard Flame Chompers to this, generate created units, and then those created units can then get the bonus from the Biggle Dust, and then we'll also be playing Bandle Commando here, which plays to the elusive theme a little bit, but also creates the Hungry Owlcats as a means to have some more created card kind of themes. I think the big thing to call out with this is that we are playing almost the full burn package. We only have 2 copies of Mystic Shot, but 2 Mystic Shots, 3 Pokey Sticks, and 3 Get Exciteds as the way to close out the game if our elusive Poros weren't quite enough. Second deck we'll be bringing is Lux Illaoi. This is what I expect to be our most commonly banned deck and our closest deck to just something that was decent in the previous season. The big addition here is going to be Riptide Sermon. Fantastic 6-cost spell to really get our Lux things going. And then this is the kind of closest deck that I've come across to that's capable of playing Tentacle Smash, Eye of Nagakaboros, and Riptide Sermon without actually playing Illaoi. Right, we're still playing Illaoi here today. The cards are just too good to be passing up in those terms, but I'm really kind of interested in these decks that want to play the Smash, the Eye, and the Riptide Sermon, but then not actually play Illaoi. I don't think we're quite there yet in terms of the existence of the cards and having a good kind of Bilgewater control deck that doesn't involve Illaoi, but it's my hope and dream one day. One day we'll find that deck. And then the last one we're going to be bringing is going to probably look a little bit strange to you. This is Sejuani Akshan. The things that I'm kind of interested in here are the addition of Void Blaster, which is just a fantastic unit, even if you aren't playing towards Evolve. A 4/4 Overwhelm for 4 mana is a pretty decent deal. And then we're also looking to take advantage of Wildclaw's Ferocity, which lets us transform an allied follower into Alpha Wildclaw. And so this was kind of an interesting thing, like back maybe 2 seasons ago, when the Sun Disk was kind of at its prime and Scouts was a top contender in the meta. Used to see Darius Nar come up as a pretty powerful deck, right? As the means to beat the Sun Disk, you can just overwhelm through all their little blockers, and then as there's just a bunch of kind of like board control-y style decks, you could just attack through all of their units, right? Scouts aren't really good at stopping big damage attackers. They only have like 2 and 3 health, and so they just lose the combats and take a bunch of damage while they're at it. But that was typically with Darius. You were playing Decimates and the like in there, and well, sometimes Decimate, but most commonly the big spell that you were going to be closing out with was Strategic Maneuvers, whatever the stun thing is that gives your team +2 attack. But with the release of Void Blaster and the release of Wildclaw's Ferocity, I did want to kind of switch this over to over to Sharima and see what we could do in those terms. And so it gives us access to Akshan as just another cheap play, right? I don't like to have just tons and tons and tons of expensive dudes. And so if we're adding in the likes of Ruin Runners, then I don't want to play too much expensive stuff. So we're able to switch up to Akshan to have a nice early set of plays. And then the Wildclaw Ferocity should let us, as the games go on, you're going to kind of find that you just have an Akshan on the board that can't attack, or you have an Omen Hawk on the board that can't attack, and we should hopefully be able to get this big surprise open attack in with the Wildclaw's Ferocity. It also plays to well if you turn up one of these really awkward early game draws, right? We do have tons of early game in here with the Ruthless Raiders, the Tough Speakers, the Actions, and then 5 1-drops, but you still can run into some awkward draws to where you just have a bunch of mana in the early game. It tends to be because you drew like an Ancient Yeti and a Ruin Runner and a Wrath of the Freylord, and you just don't have time to get that stuff going. Then having the spell mana option to get some units on the board with the Wildclaw Ferocity can kind of dig you out of some early game problems. And so that's it. Those are the 3 decks we'll be bringing today. You all know what we have to do before the battles start, though. I almost forgot this in the previous video. It was downright embarrassing. We have to come in here. We have to make something premium. You got to pay that pay-to-win price, if you will. And I was looking at the Riptide Sermon. You're epic? Man, okay. Well, is everything else already in the Illaoi deck premium? It is. Good job, Illaoi. You're pretty locked and loaded. Where's the Poro Cannon deck? Maybe we can go towards the card creation themes. Where's the Salvage Scrap? Perfect. This is going to come out, generate some created cards, and then those cards are going to be premium. This is getting double up on the premium factor here. So pretty good stuff. Excited about this lineup. Lots of new kind of off-meta, kind of meme-y things to bring out, things that don't involve the new champions, but do involve the new cards. I'm excited. Let's see what happens. No Fast and the Furious themes for this one today, though. It's a little sad. If we're not playing the supercharges, I don't feel like we can bring the Fast and the Furious themes. We should probably just do it anyways, but you know, we didn't do it this time, I guess. All right, did we actually find a match? Is this going to break? Come on, Riot. I feel like it's going to break. Oh, is it just searching? Nobody's out here playing Gauntlet today? Maybe if it gets to 90 seconds, it'll pair us up against the Poro bot. These days, this was the time when I got to sit around and talk to people playing Expedition. Not so much here. All right, dude's bringing a fairly aggro and burn heavy style lineup here. I'd look to this and probably look to just ban out tokens. But I think with tokens, how do we think this is going to line up? Like, I think tokens with Illaoi Lux is going to be pretty bad, but I think our Sejuani deck should be pretty good there. I suspect, given that this guy's bringing this really heavy aggro lineup, he's probably going to make us play the Illaoi deck twice. And then I would think he's probably just going to ban Yordles in Arms, because that looks to be kind of like the next most real deck. And so I think we should just ban which of these we think Illaoi is going to have the worst chances against. And I'm not really excited about the tokens matchup. The other two are probably serviceable. I think Gwen is probably the one that we would want to leave up the most. And so let's just ban out tokens. I don't feel as confident in tokens as I did in the previous matches. And all right. He actually took out Illaoi Lux. That's very surprising to me. It should be pretty bad against these aggro lineups. It's just so slow trying to get your 6-cost champions going. I'm going to just start with the Akshan deck. It's the one I kind of feel the least confident in here. It doesn't have as much interactivity, and I feel like a lot of these games may just be coming down to, did you draw a Troll Chant? If you draw a Troll Chant to get that early 2-for-1, then great. If you don't, you might be struggling a little bit. But not a bad start. Lots of early game stuff to do. The big play that you'll kind of see with this style of deck is determining if you want to actually play the 1-cost unit, because that's because of Troll Chant. With Troll Chant, you have so much opportunity for 2-for-1s on turn 3. So you could say play Akshan on turn 2, play Tough Speaker on turn 3, and then play a Troll Chant to get a 2-for-1. We're not going to see that kind of combo here, but it's something worth noting and looking at. All right, well, let's just go ahead and drop. Do you want to drop the Tusk Speaker? It's like I'm pretty tempted to just drop Akshan, but he doesn't have any great blocks here. I think we're just kind of stuck taking 2 from Annie. Okay, we can block out on the Saboteurs. We do have the secondary action in hand. I don't think we're going to be in a space to be trying to play a grappling hook. We don't have the combat trick density to be able to do stuff like that. And the 2 Rite of Negations, it's a fine card against Annie Jhin, since you can Rite of Negate like those big chains of big chains of abilities, but I would have rather just had something a little bit more interactive in the early game here. Annie's probably right about the flip. She's up to 4 skills at this point. Very awkward. We can only play 1 card this turn. Not particularly happy about that. I think we just have to add the Tusk Speaker. I mean, what else are we going to do? Are we really just going to try and like 3 Sisters Annie or something? That sounds horrible. Okay. But you can see what I'm saying in regards to the Troll Chant. If we'd been able to set up a turn to where we're going to get a 2-for-1 with the Troll Chant, this game would just be done. if we were the ones having an additional 2 units on the board and then having 2 less units, 100% this game would just be over. But didn't find it, didn't hit it. Now we're struggling for it. Prevent as much damage as we can. Looks like we're going to fall down to 3. Probably just dead. If you're going to be real, probably just dead here. But, I mean, we can maybe Rite of Negation something. It's where this is going to fall apart is we can only add 1 unit to the... Well, as it stands, we can't add any units to the board next turn. And so... leaves us with a bit of a struggle. We can at least potentially Rite of Negation out their burn spells. That's kind of like the saving grace we may have here, is being able to stop some abilities or stop some burn with the rites. We gotta see if he plays a unit. If he comes in and plays a unit first, then we do have the opportunity to get 2 units on the board. I don't think we can counterspell this skill. I think we have to counterspell the big chain of things that are about to hit the board. So let's get a charger, get our Yeti down, and see if we can't Rite of Negation all these spells coming, or all these skills coming across the center. Okay. I'm telling you, if we had a Troll Chant, that game would have easily been ours. All right, on to the next aggro deck. I've been thinking of playing lineups like this. I don't think they're particularly strong. Like we've run into some problems with it here. It is a lineup that's pretty good at picking on the week 0 or the week 1 meta, whatever you want to call this. But I think as we get to like week 2 or week 3, these aggro decks are just going to be all pushed out of the format. Alrighty, we got a dude, we got a Troll Chant, and then we picked up some some cards we're not really looking for in the aggro matches. Oh, double Sejuani, nice, nice. This is the kind of space I was talking about, as to where you can get some usage out of the Wildclaw Horde, whatever that thing is called, the thing that turns your unit into the 6/6. As you see draws like this, right? It's like, oh, sweet, I have a Rite of Negation. I can't play with double Sejuanis, but I have to spend my mana on, like, literal something, right? Actual anything I can spend my mana on would be great. Oh, sweet, a 3rd Sejuani, just what we needed. And so, at least the Waking Sands can come in, hopefully shut some of this down. Gonna be dropping Troll Chants this turn as well. That's it? Interesting. Well, that was fantastic. And flip his Elise, could not care less. It does let him, like, chunk in a bunch of damage, right? If he's using his small spiders to hook down our bigger units, but the Elise herself and that kind of angle to where he didn't get to deal any damage on his third turn was pretty good for us. Okay. So we'd be looking to take 7 if he open attacks, which isn't great, isn't horrible. And then maybe. We did just pick up another Overwhelm, but say we have some options to just drop the Ferocity. If we can actually get a unit down, I'm not going to pass up on that. Okay. We will be using the Troll Chant to -2 something just to prevent the damage, right? We can't be. We gotta minimize what's coming in on us. Oh, you can't even block. Sad day for you, my dude. Looks like we're gonna fall to 7. Alright, well, we will have at least opportunity this turn to take down Elise. Maybe things will turn around from this point. We can at least stop a big burn turn with the Rite of Negation, but his hand is such a dud at this point. Can't attack with our 6-3. We can't afford trades, right? If we're not going to attack in lethal, we have to keep the 6-3 back as a blocker. So we should have switched this up. We should have actually hit the Elise with the Ruin Runner just to get that extra point of damage in. I just immediately saw that as like the free one to take here. And that was a bit sloppy. But we might be okay here. We can block most of this board, and then we have the Rite of Negation to stop the skills. He's got 3 Fearsomes. We can look to block a... Let's just pass. At least for right here. Might want to use a Fury of the North on this turn.
We got it first.
Is that where we're going to have to be to protect one of our units? I'm okay with like the Snip Snap taking us to 1. It's just, do we want to have one of our units survive here, which we probably need to have happen.
Brave and dumb. Gonna watch you melt. Wield your fury.
Okay, I'll hang on to the Sejuani in our hand. We can actually look to maybe play her next turn. Wrath of the Freylord is probably the better option, but the Ruin Runner has the most attack power here. Okay, spend a mana gem. Curious how close we would be if we'd got that extra 2 points of damage in earlier. He would be at 9. That might have been enough.
Go get the shiny dove. Pain is not.
Right, we've got 11 Overwhelm coming into a 2 health unit. That would have been that would have been the game ender right there. So we don't have enough to lethal on this board. We at least have to come in and kill the Gwen. Fine. Are we fine to trade away? Probably not.
Born for conquest.
Okay. Well, we're in a pretty commanding position. We're going to have to, of course, fade a burn spell or see if we can't draw a draw another Rite of Negation, but we've definitely taken over on board here. Three Sisters lets us cancel Gwen if we need to. We can cancel Rite of Negation here, or the Nox and Fervor here as well. Get that in Tomb. All right. Good job, Sejuani. I knew you had it in you.
Only the strong survive.
Alrighty, on to the Yordles in Arms. Again, it's not like it's not fantastic. They have all those fearsomes that can be pretty tough for us to attack through, but not giving up that easy, am I right? Take it on to the game 3. See if we can't get some of those nice early game Flame Chompers Lulu hooks in. Alright, so what do we got here? I think I'm reasonable to start with just this collection. Like, it just feels so horrible to be like, well, I can play Get Excited if they have an Elise or something. That's just like so off theme on what we're trying to do. I think we just want to get rid of the Get Excited. Picking up Yordles in Arms isn't exactly better, but it gets us started at least. Okay, and we picked up the Poro Cannon, so we can discard our Flame Chompers for free on the next turn. Don't need to worry about holding on to the Urchin. This is just going to be an open. I think he just takes the damage all the time, and he's not going to like block our units with his like weaker ones, right? If we play Boom Baboon and attack, he may trade with the Precious Pet just because of Elise, but the big value in the Baboon here is being able to block fearsome units. I'm just going to prevent all the damage that we can, so we'll try and block Elise, we'll block the Spiderling. Let's go for a Pokey Stick on the Precious Pet. See if we can't take a big 0 this turn. Nice. Okay. Getting on board, friends. Getting on board. Okay. Salvage scrap. Interesting. I think that's maybe something for next turn. I do want to get both of our Poros in for the damage on this one. And then we're going to be looking towards a... looking towards a thing next turn. We have to actually come in and kill this Elise right now, though. We can't let her come in and just hook all of our smaller plays. Can we get out of that? Like, if we start to lose our Daring Poros, it's just such a bad spot for us to be in. Right, if we go into next turn, he opens and kills like both of our Poros and our Boom Baboon and then still gets to hit for 6. That's kind of a problem. We're giving up on so much card advantage, so if we try and take this down with Mystic Shot, but I don't think the Mystic Shots are going to get anything done. Okay. Feel much better. Like we're gonna get boomed for damage on this turn. I'm just looking to prevent 1 onto Spiderling, but otherwise all of our we should start to be like okay into the next turn. We can wait on the scrap. There's no reason to put the Flame Chompers on board this turn. We can burst everything out. We have the mana for it. And a Pokey Stick? I don't think we want to turn Pokey Stick into a unit. Okay, he's going to come in and take a block on the Baboon, but nice little chunk of damage coming through for the turn. The Noxus Blast. Okay. All right, and we're like running out of stuff to do, and so I'm just gonna go ahead and Pokey Stick away his unit and just try to get a little bit more value going out of this. We can drop the Sump Dredgers next turn. That's okay. Oof. If we just survive, we should be good. Pokey Sticks? Okay. Ah, that's brutal, though. If we want to get... well, I guess his units don't have Fearsome, right? We can still block this stuff. And we can technically give up on one Poro. Right, if we're coming in for 3... oh, Fizz isn't created, so we do need both of our Poros next turn. Okay. This takes us to 6. Perfect. Okay, GG. Laser beam him, kitty. Laser beam it. There's no draws in his deck that get out of this. I guess he could have tried to pick up... we probably should have just put the Poros on the board. Well, we were at 4. We could have died to Decimate, but... I guess if the downside there would have been if he had like a Noxus Blast for our... well, we could get out a Noxus Blast, right? We picked up the Poro Cannon. But if he came in and killed one of our smaller units, it would have been a bit problematic. But okay. Interesting set here. Like, the first thing I'm taking a peek at here is this Echo Zillion. I think all of our decks are pretty decent matchups against this. This deck functions a lot like the Sun Disk in that they're just putting down a bunch of blockers and hoping that they can stall until their combo comes out. But just putting down blockers doesn't really work well against either the Sejuani deck or the Lulu Fizz deck. And so I think it's okay. The one out of these that gives me the most concern would be the Bard deck up against Sejuani. I think just having this ultimate kind of like late game package and Galio is problematic for both like the decks like Lux, and then also having Bard is a good late game thing, and then just getting the stats to prevent overwhelm damage. That's the one that's like really starting to scare me here. I don't think I'm worried about Zed Gwen. Okay. He bans out our Sejuani. Nice. I wonder if people see it and just say, I don't know what that deck is, I'm going to ban it. All right, though. We'll hang on to our Boom Baboon. Look for some other cheaper plays. The important thing here we found was an answer to Zed, right? If he starts off early with Zed, having the Mystic Shot to take him down can be quite good. The way a lot of these games play out is if they get Zed down and he's unanswered, then you basically just lose. And if you're able to take down their early game Zed, then you win. See, it looks like he might be banking into that Twin Disciplines mana.
My training is unconventional.
what this reeks of. We're going to see the full combo, the 4-attack Zed coming into the twin disciplines. That's what it feels like to me. Oh, nice. Glad to be wrong. Okay, Yordles and Arms makes an appearance. We're getting built up reasonably well here. If we're wanting to pop off, we do need to draw one of our champions, though, right? We can hit Ionia, or for the big one, I should say. We can hit Ionia with the Bandle Commando, generating the Outcat, but we need Fizz to hit the 4th faction. We can maybe salvage Scrap into something. Let's see. All right, well we're not attacking into those dudes.
I live for those who do not.
And the Mourned? It's annoying as fuck. I mean, we can pull them out of combat with the Flame Chompers. That's probably realistically good enough. I'm willing to spend a burn spell on this thing. Uh-oh. It's a big Zed attack. I mean, how much do we even care? Like, I'm not going to take the full hit. I'm willing to give up some of these Boom Baboons, because we do have the big hit next turn, especially with the elusives coming in. Like, I think we're okay to just at least block with 1. Taking 7 doesn't get us that close to lethal. I think this is fine. I think the question is on our next turn. Do we want to say both Yordles and Arms and play Biggle Dust? We can hook the Mourned out of combat. Then that would be giving our units make us have 10 damage from the Daring Poros, and then an additional 4 damage from a Bandle Commando. That comes up to 14. Then we have some burn spells in hand. Seems kind of risky, but not horrible. Okay, I'm on board. We don't have to play the Biggle Dust this turn, right? We can't just stop right here with the Yordles in Arms. I'm gonna say, especially if he has a deny or something. I think we probably still just want to go for it. I like having the Flame Chompers able to hook in Zed for a kill, and then we can just follow up with burn spells next turn if we need to. Let's go little to big from this point. This does strike me as a deck that could be playing barrier lifesteal kind of cards. So he's probably going to play barrier lifesteal onto Zed. So that makes me happy to have him over to the left. But I think after the Zed attack, we want to look for a left or right coming in here. Okay. So we got 6 burn in hand, 3 elusives on the board. I think we're okay in terms of what Zed has going on here. Is this the way we want to do it? Okay, we can't fall that low. If we're going to be real, if we're making the blocks, we might as well just come in and throw the Mystic Shot onto Zed this way. This is okay. If we get to protect the Flame Chompers so we can hook something bad out of combat. Maybe we should be swapping these and keeping the Bandle Commando because we do have another Flame Chompers coming out of hand. But I'm not like really interested in this Commando though. I'd rather, at the end of the day, if we get to keep one of these units, I'd rather be keeping the Flame Chompers. Okay, let's drop an Outcat. I'm going to look to Pokey Stick one of these 1 health units and then see if we can't get close to a kill with an open attack. I think we're going to be short, right? We've got 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, plus a Get Excited. All right, well, I guess it'll be okay if he doesn't play Zed here. Okay. Alright, so that should take him to 3. Then ideally we'll get the kill here with Get Excited. He can't have counter spells and stuff. Denies, a little bit of life gain, whatever. He has some ways out of this, but I'd say we get a kill here most of the time. Not a bad Yordle generate here in the Yordle Captain. Health potion. Got it. Still seems pretty good. Getting this Poro path. Zed's pretty far away from lethal. He's only going to have 2 cards at this point. I think we should be pretty okay. Definitely going the path of the Poro now. At least some of this back, right? I'm not letting either Zed hit come in, right? That's just way too much damage. But we can go for Poros now. Let's see if he has a lifesteal. This isn't a lifesteal because this is a fast spell. But if he goes up to 8, that would be slightly annoying. And I think we're actually just going to play this a little slow here. Play Yordle Captain this turn, Yordle Captain next turn. And then... should we... where does that get us? Say he Concussive Palms 1 would be coming in for 4. It feels like at this stage of the game, we should just wait a turn, since we can also, threaten lethals with these Yordle Captains. So if he has to come in and block with Zed, that feels like it gets us a little bit further ahead as well.
Just do your best, okay? Welcome to the team.
Pretty tough to stop all of this. Okay.
Just do your best, okay?
So we can Concussive Palm a Daring Poros still die. He's going to have just tons of cards here. Is he going to have double Concussive Palm? I guess that's one way to do it. I still feel like we're pretty far ahead even with that. Ooh, wow, and a Homecoming? Ooh, wow. Wow. Okay. I'm definitely glad we didn't open attack. We would have fallen pretty far behind if we were doing stuff like discarding Yordle captains. So
Well, this isn't the glade.
have we finally done it? We're good to get rid of a Yordle captain now. We just need 2 health out of our Poros. Okay. Maybe one of these Zed hooks will finally connect as well. Alright. Good job, Poros. Fought your way through all the drains, through all the life steals. On to Lux. Alright, not the greatest collection of early game stuff here. I could see an argument for hanging on to the Riptide Sermon, since if we just don't play anything the first 2 turns, we can just pop off a Riptide Sermon on turn 3, and then maybe use it to take down a Zillion or something. So I think that's fine. I'm not really in the mood to like hard mulligan for Hired Guns or Petricite Broadwings, so I think this is a reasonable enough early start. Yeah, to remember, you can take down Echo with the Riptide Sermon. It doesn't do strikes like you see out of the Tentacle Smash. It just deals damage to the unit and puts the spawn on the board. And so if you have kind of in your head that, well, if I Tentacle Smash an Echo, my Tentacle's going to die, it's not the way it works with the Sermon. Right? Let's see. I'm more than happy to just pass here. If we get, a particularly spicy hit with the Hired Gun, then maybe we'll take it. But I think this is perfectly fine to just go into turn 3 banking.
With the power of time, the possibilities are endless.
This is my time.
Okay. Oh. Do we actually want a Sermon and then just play... I think we should probably be hanging on to these Sermons for Echo. So let's Tentacle Smash. Wanting to do the weaker one here. So if we go into next turn, he puts another 2 attack unit on the board, right? If he plays another Aspiring Chronomancer, if he plays the Hexite Cat, I want to be able to attack with both Illaoi and the Tentacle Slam next turn, and have it be successful. So, oh, I was like, why did his unit die? He sacrificed it off to the, Rite of Negation. Makes sense. Not a big deal. I do want to go ahead and drop the Hired Gun now, because we're going to play Illaoi and try to get an attack in. I don't want Illaoi taking too much damage if she doesn't have to. And so if he plays like a big Echo, then we can just hook the Chronomancer with Illaoi. If he doesn't play anything, then we can just hook the Chronomancer with the Hired Gun and minimize the damage coming onto her. Okay.
If we can undo what has been done.
We can, Timekeeper. Let me show you.
Yes?
All right. We're getting built up to a big Illaoi smash. I don't feel too bad about this. we can't protect ourselves a bit from this time bomb. It's not the end of the world if we start losing tentacles here, but growing definitely feels good. Okay. And we will have 7 mana next turn. We could potentially look to make a Seize Voice attack and then Golden Aegis to get the double big Overwhelm attacks in. We'll just have to see how this plays out. Psy Scout. Not expecting to see a Psy Scout today.
I'll check for their side.
Nagakaburo surrounds us.
Nagakaburo surrounds us.
To the sea, to battle!
Interesting.
Do you hear her voice?
Are you troubled, friend?
He should be getting lethals if he's just like, LOL, here's Echo. The thing to watch out for with this turn would be the presence of a Quicksand. Right? We can't be making these big Golden Aegis attacks into Quicksands if he's taking away our Overwhelm. But, I mean, this feels like we're in a pretty fantastic spot. Now that we just got this big damage in, even if he has well, he doesn't have the Quicksand now. Where I'm getting is to we should be pretty close to just lethaling him. I gotta spend some mana. I think we're fine. Okay. Rip Illaoi, but we still win. It's a good place to drop the Echo emotes against the Echo deck, right? Feels appropriate.
Feel her presence.
GG. All right, market a W for bust. GG. Moving on. Let's see. At least we've got to play all of our decks now, and they've all at least gotten a win. It's pretty nice. Pretty sweet, right? All right, this is the same person? No? All right, I just saw the Bard Poppy Galio and thought it was the same person. But differing decks here, I think the same kind of ideals apply. Like Akshan Kaisa is okay in a lot of terms for our decks. It has that kind of same like board building functionality that you used to see out of Scouts, into where they're getting all the evolves on the board and they're playing a lot of units just because they have keywords, but they don't really interact until they build up their big like turn 6 or turn 7 play. I think our Sejuani deck is going to play fantastically into this thing, and I think our other decks will be okay. Now down here to the end, the Heimerdinger Jace is more problematic for a lot of our decks, but do we want to play Heimerdinger Jace more than we want to play against the Poppy deck? And that's one I'm not entirely sure on. I just don't like going up against the mountain of stats that you see against the Bard decks, but like the deck having vengeances and things against Illaoi is going to be pretty tough. I mean, I do imagine he's just going to ban out the Illaoi deck. But if that's going to be the case, I think we probably just want to ban Bard Poppy Galio. Okay. I don't know. That seems fine. Like the thing that ultimately worries me about like the Sejuani deck into the Shadow Isles deck is their access to things like Vengeance. And so if we have to start making these turns to where we're playing a 6 mana unit and they just remove it, and then we play a 7 mana unit and they just remove it, it plays a lot more to their favor than it does to our favor. It's happening. Feels like the game broke. Come on, Riot. There we go. So what do we got? Sejuani and the Three Sisters, a little bit too expensive, but Ancient Yeti's a great one to hold on to on our opener here. All right, all right. Pick up some 8 drops, just what I was hoping we could do. Let's see. Like, this deck has just like felt so weird to me. I feel like it's a small sample size in what I'm talking about, but just like not having a lot of turn 2 and turn 3 plays, and I'm actually playing more 1 and 2 drop units than I used to play in Darius Nar.
Find your own.
I'm gonna go ahead and take the block here. Like if we had the Wildclaw thing, I think we could consider not playing anything there, but without an additional play, I think we can go ahead and just make the trade. I wonder if they just pass back as well. It's like you typically look pretty suspect when you make that play as Shurima, but here it was actually just a matter of us not having the cards in hand.
Take your own damn medicine. Let's get to blasted. Wrong town, waste.
I don't think I'm quite ready to be making making plays for Battle Fury. So we can't technically just stop there and try to build up to Battle Fury. I don't think I'm quite ready for that. And then here, I wanted to protect our Ruin Runner. This is one of the premier targets for the Battle Fury, and so if we have to attack now in Quicksand, I feel a little bit safer about it.
Here's where we make our stand.
Kaisa. This is a very unevolved Kaisa with only one ability on her at this point. Alright, here's the squad. Ready to party now.
The suit's a quick study.
We'll get our licks in.
Hit and move.
Alright, well this is going to be a quicksand from our side of the board. Now the new question is, do we want to build up to a Battle Fury? Ancient Hourglass is fine. I mean, it's pretty big. How much? We're going to have 7 mana next turn, so that actually just works out. We can just bank 1 and go for a Battle Fury next turn. I dig it. Short of lethal. So do we want to play it preemptively? Probably. It's just like one of these awkward spots to where he knows what we're doing now, right? We're out of mana. Our hand has been shown. But how bad is it if he just says, all right, well, I'm not going to block, right? I'm not dead. I just have to make it to my next turn and get an attack in or something. I don't think they're going to be able to win on that next turn's attack anyways, but there's kind of like 2 pieces to the puzzle there with the Battle Fury. Number 1, he has to have 2 burst spells to deal with it, right? He has to be able to like quicksand, or like quicksand and then concerted strike, and the concerted strike's just not big enough. But I think like with the composition of our hand and actually having the Wrath of the Freylord in our hand, if he just has to spend all of his mana on that turn to not die, then we go to the next turn and play Wrath of the Freylord. I think we're just pretty well set to win from that point forward anyways. So I feel like that was pretty good and safe. Alright, I like to hang on to the Poro cannons. Ideally, we would have picked up a Boom Baboon along the way here, but not quite there just yet. Okay, I'll attempt to clear out the board. We're going to be making Lulu plays this game. And so if we can wear down his units and make it safe for Lulu, I think I'm on board. Still the best draw in our deck is going to be a Boom Baboon or a Flame Chompers. So that worked out kind of nicely. Do we want to start getting any of this other stuff down? I think Fizz is probably okay. Then we're just going to go into next turn.
Let me at 'em.
And then we'll look to play Lulu and then burst out the Flame Chompers. This is fine. You fought valiantly, Fizz. You fought valiantly.
Well, this isn't the glade.
All right. Well, he knows shenanigans are afoot. I'm not passing on this big damage hit though. Gets us so close to lethal when we have the big ol' dust Yordles in arms in hand with the 2 daring Poros. So we'll just go ahead and slam that in. He shouldn't have too much interactivity left at this point. I mean, he already played his he already played his Quinn Bird, so it's pretty tough to have an additional Quinn Bird.
Here we go.
This mama is a beast mama.
Gonna go for the slow one here. Like he's gonna have to put some work in on this board, and this gets us pretty close to end game. Opening with the big ol' dust wouldn't have gotten us to a lethal though. Oh, wrong one. He takes down our Lulu, it's okay. Once again, if he's like making an investment to take Lulu down, that means he's not putting units on the board. So, feel pretty safe in those terms.
I do not break rules, I bend them slightly.
Looking pretty strong, squad. Looking pretty strong. There it is.
There's still time. There has to be.
Drop an emote to that one. GG. Nice work, Yordles. Very, very good job.
Let's go around again.
All right, final battles here. Hydrated. I'm ready. All right, what do we got here? Somebody playing cards from the previous season? That's fine. We gotta just come in and ban out Talia Lysandra. The Blighted Ravines are just way too good against both Yordles and Arms and Akshan. And so if we say, okay, well, opponent's probably just gonna ban out Illaoi Lux, because that looks to be the most familiar style deck, then if he has Blighted Ravine decks up against our other two, then that's fine. Now, I'm curious what happens if he, kind of levels into this and says, okay, well, he's just going to ban out my Blighted Ravines. Do I leave up Illaoi Lux to try and take it down with tokens? I could see something like that, but I think it's just worth the risk. So we'll just take the Talia Lysandra out. All right, get things started with action. Curious what the Freylord half of this Gwen deck is. I'm not entirely sure what's going to be coming at us from that deck on the right. Interesting. All right. Ooh, Ruthless Raider tends to be exceptionally good in these matches. He's able to come down and just block the tokens over and over and over again. Pretty reasonable start. No troll chance to be found, so I feel pretty good about playing the Omen Hawk, but this would definitely be one of these spaces to where I'd want to stop and consider, do we want to save the troll chant mana? I mean, maybe we just should have. Okay, given that like the Omen Hawk's going to be pretty ineffective into this Doomkeeper. But the bonus stats, nothing to scoff at. We're just going to immediately draw a troll chant and regret it, but...
Fight or die.
Diaz down. Oh, got a cat. Cat wants to hang out. It's not the cat that likes to be in the videos. She doesn't actually like to jump out and hang out on me. She just likes to be an annoying fuck during the video creation. She comes in and scratches on the door and then walks away.
Battle senses!
I'll take everything.
All right, seems fine. We're getting pretty close to hitting with this Wildclaws ferocity. Like if we get to hang on to our Omen Hawk until our next attack token, then it's gonna do it. It's coming down.
The Winter's Claw.
His blocks here all suck. He can block with Irelia if he wants, but otherwise our units are just too big, too tough, can't handle it. If he's spending combat tricks here, that's great. Sure. Let's get that stuff out of here. Oh, the double discipline of force. Okay. But the nice thing here is we still get this 7 chunk in, right? He's so bad at blocking that he's really going to struggle with this. And so I feel pretty good. We can look to drop the Ruin Runner here. And then next turn, just go for the Wildclaws Ferocity and probably close it out.
Wrong town, waster!
So he's stopping. Is like, this is going to be another Twin Disciplines?
Sand and trouble far as the eye can see.
You gotta have something good here, Venom Venom. Too bad we don't have 8 mana. That would have been a pretty huge play this turn. How much can we pull off here? Do we think we can actually get away with the Tusk Speaker? No, we don't have the mana. We only have 1 mana after this.
This is gonna sting.
I used the appropriate emote, so... Oh, get wrecked, tokens. Get wrecked. Alright, so things will be a little bit more challenging with the Yordles in Arms deck against tokens. I felt like that was probably going to be okay. Oh, shit, he banned out Yordles in Arms. We have to play Illaoi Lux. Illaoi Lux is, I'm pretty sure, terrible against tokens, but hopefully it's okay against this other thing that he's brought. You can't get these big, like, overwhelm attacks in that they're not good at blocking, and so we do have some options, but it doesn't feel like a spectacular match. Lots of good early interactivity here, though. The big thing you're watching yourselves with Tentacle Smash is you can only play 1 card on turn 1 or 1 card on turn 2 if you want to be able to play the Tentacle Smash on turn 3. I don't think we need to worry about it at this point, given how our hand came together. But it's one of the sequences you need to be aware of. This is a fairly tempting bank. Let's just pass and see what happens and say we can maybe play Hired Gun. But otherwise, getting to just save some mana here is not that bad. Now we'll make the big token. We'll be ready with the Sharp Sight if we need it. I don't think we're going to need it here, but it's a nice place to bank some mana. Azir comes in. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. So we do have to worry about this tentacle now. If it gets bounced, that's kind of annoying. But we have the opportunity just to get a gigantic attack in. If the extent of his turn is playing a Desert Duet, whatever, the bounce spell, then that feels like a win. We can take control of the board here a little bit.
Don't stand in my way.
This is going to be a homecoming. I feel like this tentacle's about to get bounced. Ooh, wow. Wow, he just doesn't have anything. Okay.
You will speak when I allow you.
Interesting. If he like spends a bunch of mana here and we just get to drop a Golden Aegis, that's pretty big. We can't counterspell this, but it's like I'm kind of interested in just letting him play the champion. It's gonna cost 3 mana, and then we can just play Golden Aegis and probably win the game.
Find your feet. Don't waste my time.
Okay, so this will full clear his board. We'll get an open attack next turn. He shouldn't have any units on the board, so he can't play Homecomings, and so he's gonna need a Will of Ionia to get out of this specifically. That's not an intelligent attack. We get to kill him if he makes this attack. We block with the Broadwing, kill his unit, and then get to use the Broadwing to hook the domination. Yeah.
Kneel.
Okay. Let's present that lethal. We can actually bring it both ways. We could look to put the sharp side on the Broadwing. The game was just done. All right, GG. Not a bad collection of games. Pretty strong set of victories, and it does at least bring something interesting to think about. Like, in that at least, like I said, there's no real reason to come out and try and target decks, but you probably need to be at least in a space to where your lineup just doesn't get murdered by tokens. And I'm surprised to see it show up in such force, because the addition of domination wasn't that big for tokens. I see where it gets to boost a lot of its cards, but I haven't seen it come down and be particularly impressed with it. Granted, I'm not a big tokens player, but the thing with tokens at the end of seasonals and a little bit before is it has like very specific matchups where it's good. It's not one of these decks to where it's like 50-50 across the board, or its good matchups are like 55-45 and its bad matchups are like 45-55. It's one of these decks to where its good matchups are like 80-20s, and then its bad matchups are like 20-80s, and its bad matchups are extensive. And so it was one of these decks to where it was pretty big at seasonals, because you could use it to target Talia Lysandra, where it's an exceptionally strong matchup in the face of tokens against what was the most common deck in the format. But I think it's done well here with the ladder. Like, I've seen various people posting on Twitter, like Herder, sorry to break the format, and playing tokens. It's not so much that tokens is good right now. It's just an established aggro deck that, when people are out here saying, like, how do I make bad Evelynn decks worse? Or how do I fit Gwen into a deck? Or how do I fit Kai'Sa into a deck? Like, it's a fantastic time to just be playing aggro decks and beating up on everyone's brews. But I don't think it's actually a good deck at this stage. It's not a good deck. That's not the correct way to phrase it. It's not a good deck to take into a wide open meta, because its tail is bad, right? We talk about the concept of a long tail and being good against a large swath of the meta. That's not what you see with tokens. And so I could see if, like, you're trying to bring a lineup, like, I think the first guy we played may have had something where he brought, like, tokens and then a couple of other burn decks. That probably makes sense there. But if you're not playing a dedicated burn lineup, I don't think this is probably the time to be playing tokens. Because I think the meta is just going to be too wide, and you're not going to be playing against its good matchups frequently enough. As you saw today, I mean, we just annihilated it. And so even as we play like a lot of Kai'Sas, play with a lot of Kai'Sas, I should say, I look for a lot of those spots against tokens to where we just make a tough unit, and that tends to just shut down their deck so hard. If you get a tough early game Tentacle, or if you have, we were playing the singular copy of the tough elusive unit, and then you can also generate toughs with like Radiant Guardian. Just having like one of those hit the board just completely ends their game plan. And so I don't think this is the time to really be bringing tokens, but it is a time to be considering maybe don't bring a lineup that just gets annihilated by it, because that does seem to be like one of the common strategies that we're seeing a lot of. But otherwise, in terms of these decks, they were fine and reasonable. I don't think that this is a spectacular lineup that we'll be taking up next week. I did mainly just want to come out and get to try some of these new cards. I think the comments I'll make with our decks is that I think Akshan Sejuani may be worth investigating. If not Akshan Sejuani, maybe going back to the Darius Nar style things. Now that we have access to this Wildclaw, whatever, like I don't want to tout it as being spectacular, but it fixes a lot of the problems that that deck has, in that it's very telegraphed what you're going to be doing, right? Your only like real interactivity is troll chance and then decisive maneuvers, and so your opponent just sees what you have coming at them every turn, and they're able to react appropriately. And so adding in just a surprise burst unit for your like Omen Hawk style things, so that you can be attacking on like turn 4 with another just gigantic play. I think it's kind of interesting. I don't think it's the latest and greatest meta breaker, but I think it's definitely something worth investigating. Illaoi Lux, things are pretty straightforward there, but in terms of the Yordles in Arms deck, it just felt like a little off. I'm not entirely sure what feels wrong with it, but I think the unit generating card we just never want, and I think realistically we probably want to go back to playing something like Boom Baboon, or not Boom Baboon, I'm sorry, the 3/2 that generates a landmark, the Shurima unit, just as an additional way to activate your Yordles in Arms, and then figure out the appropriate combination of Yordles in Arms and the Whimsy thing, whatever the new created cards get +2/+2 thing is. I don't think it's worth going super all in on the created card thing, but now that you have an option that isn't Yordles in Arms, maybe there's a better split. And so Yordles in Arms is still a reasonable deck. It's another one kind of like Tokens, as to where if you're looking to play specifically like a Boom Baboon Poro Cannon style deck, you're probably better off just playing Aphelios Victor. But if you're looking to craft a Boom Baboon lineup, then it's one that you have to bring, and it's still pretty strong. And so I forget who did that at Seasonals. Somebody did it. And then that was with Aphelios Victor, with Boom Baboon, and then with Draven Burn. And so if you're looking to do something like that, I think that's where it fits in more. It's not to say it's a bad deck. I think there's just other decks that do the Boom Baboons better ever since the Yordles in Arms got nerfed from +4/+4 to +3/+3. It's just a little bit more challenging to close out the games. And I don't think the burst thing fixes that. And so that does kind of depend on the meta as well, in terms of the burst thing. And the problem you would have with Yordles in Arms is you'd play Yordles in Arms and your opponent would be like, LOL, here's a Pokey Stick and a Mystic Shot to kill 2 of your units. You get around that with the burst spell, and so it is kind of meta dependent in what you're seeing. And so there may be a more of a place for it, but I don't think that that's the best Boom Baboon deck, but it's worth remembering that you can bring full Boom Baboon lineups, and so it's a deck that you have to kind of consider the merits of and the pros and cons. But nonetheless, successful run, good set of games. I had fun with it. Hope you had fun with it too. And that is going to do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. You learned how to overwhelm your opponents a little bit better. You maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.